So many years later, some wee girl I don't even know will be calling me about you. Calling me on Good Friday, on this Good Friday with everything. With my body and my brandy both sat here watching the news, the peace has arrived. With my body waiting to be seen and poked and pried apart at Belfast City Hospital, and some wee girl, your latest child bride, is calling me. She's not even introducing herself, is going to me saying, Diver isn't answering my calls. Crying, please, I don't know what to do. And I'm hearing her in my own voice. But from before, on that day we ate peaches on the train, do you remember that, Diver? I have that picture somehow clearer now. Wet, yellow, your fingers sticking to mine. The heat in the carriage, even with every window cracked. Fuck me, the heat that summer. Going from town to town along the coast of Liguria. The water on one side of me and you always on the other. Either direction a clear expanse. Remembering that? So early in our time together. Must have been 1980. Just a week, a few days, no doubt running from some bad fellas after you back home. Sure, there was always bad fellas after you, always someone you were letting down. And then that last night, in that twin room in Pisa. Twin room, booking error. But the managers look. These two, travelling together, these two. You barely clinging to your 30s and me, fucking hell. His eyes on me thinking, Jesus, what age is that wee girl? Not that he's saying anything, not with your charm. I'm stood back, a bystander for once, but still feeling it. The force of you pushing in through that solid heat. The poor guy. That feeling, desperate to yield, to give you everything. Sure he is, but the twin room's all they have, so you relent, take the key and scrawl your name in his book, Diver. Like you scrawled it in mine across the margins, Diver. And then big cartoon loops and tails, Diver. And after dinner, alone with the two single beds and the floor fan whirring, suddenly you're gone from me, so sullen, forcing me to take you in my fists and wring it out of you that you've met someone. Ah, fuck. Again. Ah, fuck, Katie. Just before we left Belfast. So this will be the last time. Fucking stay where you are. The last time we'll be doing whatever it was we've been doing. And I said, is this the last time? Or is it the last time like last time was the last time? And then a laugh. Was that you or me? I can't separate us out. And then silence, which was most definitely the both of us, and then me breaking at me saying, I think I'm pregnant, Diver. But saying it flat, like, I think I'm pregnant. Like I was asking you to hold my purse, and I don't even know if you heard me, because you looked through me and said maybe it being separate beds was a blessing. And looking anywhere but my awful body. Saying and saying you love me, that you don't touch me, that you don't. And we fought until we didn't. Lay down, shaking with anger, each in our own separate bed. A river rising between us. And in the night, I know I've bled. And in the morning, before we handed back the key, your skin still tasted a peach. He kept saying what would happen if I left him, Katie. Oh, I don't like to say, but saying he would end it, you know, like end himself. I thought maybe he was joking. But then it did go because I had to, and he's not answered his phone in 2 weeks. I don't know what to do. He told me what would happen if I left. When me and husband Brandy, we're not yet even me and husband Brandy, but just me and the fella, you know? When we're in that sort of a mood, raking over the names of those who'd shifted in the past before we took to shifting each other to a permanent end. I would talk to Brandy about my years with Diver. First in Belfast, always moving, always hustling, and then that year together seeing no one, holed up in that ridiculous caravan on the north coast. Oh, Port Benoni. Christ. We went there in 1986. I was 22. Diver was... I think we did his 45th in that caravan. A scone with a tea light sliding off the top. Me anchoring a party hat around his chin. Him too gone to notice. He was gone from himself a lot by that point. Made it easier for me to finally slip away, I think. Brandy was always grinning and saying he wanted to go up there one day to that nowhere town by the sea, saying Diver was probably still in that caravan, probably a proper crusty by now, covered in barnacles and harvesting seaweed. Because he's whimsical as Brandy. Saying he wanted to thank this madman from my before, this shady grifter who would talk about the carnage of our city like it was a thing of beauty. This man who called himself Diver. And thank him, sincerely, for taking a machete to my expectations. Which suited Brandy just fine. I never told him about the worst stuff. That shape Diver's face would take when I'd steal a glance back at him in the station toilets. Standing guard while he sat on the piss-wet floor putting that stuff in between his toes. I want Brandy. I want for him not to have to hold any of that in his head. Brandy's not breaking. Not like I am. Brandy comes from a big family of Brandy admirers. Only boy, youngest, 4 sisters. Sturdy, dependable women, 2 of them pregnant at any given moment. Brandy, fuck me, that fella. He prides himself on having washed the pots and pans before we even sit down to eat. He votes alliance. When he's going about the house doing his wee tasks, he whistles. Even when he knows I can hear him, I mean, Jesus wept. Even now, I'm not sure I love him. At least not the way I tell him I love him. So he won't worry himself. But I love how he fears me. I love how he thinks being good to me is why I stay. And I love how he does not know to have what we have to reach this point. Every part of me is breaking. When I'm good and ready, I go to tell Brandy about Diver being missing. It says I'm afraid for him, Brandy. And we talk half the night about it, and I can tell when we are done and he's off whistling at the laundry that he has happily tuned out the part. I've said I'm going back to Port Benoni in the morning. Find Diver, or whatever is left of him. I don't sleep. I've not been sleeping for weeks, not since I first started feeling this pain. The next day, finally, thank God, and sure enough, here's Brandy, here's him seeing my bag in the hall, here's him on at me immediately. He can't go anywhere, not now, not like this. Here's him banging his fist on the dresser, like he's got any violence in him. Oh, bangs it again, so he does, big fearsome Brandy. Bangs it and knocks that nice picture of my mummy and daddy off the wall. I looked down at it. See them in the garden not long before Daddy went last year. And so slowly, and then so fast. City hospital in the background close like it's waiting for him. I'm saying you can't go. Why not? I'm signed off. Oh, what about the 12-week scan, Kate? What about the pains? What if you miss it? That's not till Tuesday. You're not doing this. Oh, am I not? Well, thank fuck you were here to tell me, Brandy. Sure, there's me half out the door. See now this red mark on his face? He does this thing I hate. He scratches himself. When he's stressed or upset, goes off in private to do it off by himself like a bad dog. Let the girlfriend. She's not his girlfriend. They broke up, she left him. Aye, like you did. So you got shot of him 10 years ago. She's more recent. Let her deal with it. She's just a child, Brandy. Isn't that what he prefers? Brandy, look, all I'm doing is I'm getting on a train, getting off again, enjoying a wee stroll in the sea air, stopping by divers, knocking on his door to see if he answers. If he's there, grand. If he doesn't answer, then straight back to the sea air, the train, and home to you. You'll be back tomorrow early. We'll get to your parents for Easter lunch. See everyone, your sister, the kids. Right, I'll come too then. No. Say that too quickly. We'll both notice. What am I supposed to do, Kate? Oh, just whining now, yous. Fucking I don't know, Brandy. Throw a party. It's peace in our time. And look at the TV and outside Stormont, some big round boys from the order doing an angry march up and down the hill again. But it's perestroika, lads. Will neither be up nor down never again, didn't anyone tell ye? What if Brandy catches himself? Go on, you car, go on and say it. What if he looks at me as breathless as them sweating Protestants on the telly, his thin lips grasping for a word that doesn't exist, and finally he says, what if while you're away, it happens, and you lose it? It. No name to it, just it. I thought it was a word we didn't use in this house. I thought you had a better word for me. You're a gift to me, wasn't it? That's not fair, Kate. Fair! I plucked this absurd. I plucked that sound, that fair. I pluck it from the air between us, right as it's whispering into nothing, and I take it back and I wrestle it until it's loud again, and I push it into the middle of Brandy's chest. And he doesn't cry out. Even as the shriek of it cuts his jumper to ribbons and cuts the flesh and cuts the sinew and cuts the hard bone, and I wait for him to meet my eyes again, to see the river rising behind him, to see it rising to take me back to Diver, all the way out there in the crush of the river's mouth where I belong, because before Diver, tell you what, Brandy, if it happens, then it's happened. And you can just be thankful, can't you? That it's happened in nowhere town by the sea, miles from everything fair you're looking after up here in the New World. And then you won't have to worry about it, not at all. And that's my gift to you, husband. Then I go and call a taxi to the station. And I wait a full hour in the hall till it comes. Sorry, my love. It's bumper to bumper out there. Half the road's closed for these politicals to go and come back and be safe from us savages. I don't know. Right, where are we off to? I've forgotten how to do this, Diver. How to think about you. A tear above your lip. The slow way you close those eyes of yours. The fucking length of you, boy. Christ, you in a country mile heel to beat. I remember the weeks you didn't come home. I remember how alive you were in the right company. A visit from a foreign dignitary. Playing host as if you were part of something. Chatting up some German girl and her German girlfriend. Red Army faction types and heavy boots and khaki coats. Or struck of beards with some fella claiming to be a second cousin to Malcolm X. or sometimes only with me. When an idea got loose and about you, and fuck me, there was no stopping you then, you beast you. One of them nights we were hiding in your nana's place in the Holy Lands. You were after disappointing some of them bad fellas again. Sure, there's the woman herself now. Nana. Wearing that green kimono you bought her at St. George's Market. Half cut, as usual she is. Laughing and telling me stories, said, a wee hellion, only ever good for breaking things. Telling me when you were growing, you'd found out how to make nitroglycerin. You'd make it in her kitchen, sleep with it under your bed. Telling me you were stretching out so fast in them days, you'd just keel over from time to time if you got up too quickly. Your Nana. God love her. She'd be in that other room, smoking out that window with the bottom corner smashed out of it, and you'd hear this almighty clatter. And she'd come in and find you on the floor. All her good china broken about you. Find you there in the middle of it, weeping, with your eyes closed, like you weren't awake. And you'd just kneel and watch, astounded. Sure, these tears that were pelting out of you. And there's your Nana, like she's after lifting her head from prayer, only to discover the mother woman herself, the best of us. Like to find her down in knock, weeping blood and oil and commodified debt. Where'd you say you were going? This fella in the ticket office scratches his chin. Port Benoni, I says. Pulls out a sheet of paper and peers down it. Port Benoni. I know where you're on about now. Well, when's the next train? Never. What? Decommissioned the station years ago, aye. Closest I can get you is Coleraine, and then you'll need to be getting the bus. But I want to check if they're running over the Easter weekend. Well, can you not tell me? Oh, no. It's a whole other subsidiary does the buses. I take my seat on board the train. I should sleep, but I can't. These past few weeks I've not been sleeping at night. So I've been out walking, trying to get somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere I went once in a dream. Back when all this was a dream. Every night waiting for Brandy's breath to turn soft beside me, and out I am walking. Miles and miles to the city, to the river. Going, not sleeping. Can't sleep. The racket of them lorries rattling by, loaded up with our new piece. And the racket of my body. The noise of it. Breaking. Always. And the waiting they're making me do when there's not an inch of waiting left in me. In any of us. All the calls, all the delays, all the letters. I'm sorry, Mrs. Regan, if there's no blood, we can't make an emergency appointment. All this waiting. To be seen and scanned and pried apart, to be told what I already know, what I have always known. I am breaking. It's as simple as that. And we are such simple things. Before all this, me and Brandy, we got to trying a bit later than would have been ideal. He was the one that wanted it, and I knew the world around us like he couldn't. Bringing a wee one into that, sure, I was in no rush. But seeing Brandy with all them nieces and nephews, seeing his want for it, the pressure of that, I stumbled. I forgot myself. I started thinking in the wrong direction is what I did, and that feeling takes hold. And then on the news they started on about peace, and how we're in a peace process, and I thought, I feel so fucking silly. But I thought they meant real peace. Fucking hell, Katie. I thought they meant that even my body, it might stop breaking just for 1 second. And in that thought, suddenly I was like, fuck me, I'm getting into my 30s. Fuck me, my mum had me when she was 18, and there's me not even sure I could get that way because I thought I was that night in the twin room when I said I was, and Diver, he... But it didn't matter. Because in the morning his skin still tasted of peach, even if mine tasted of ash. I was so late. And then I wasn't. His skin. His peach. And then the amount of near misses over the years, the way I behaved. So when the second stick was in my hand saying exactly what the first stick had said, and Brandy's on me like, oh, fucking yes! Fucking put a notice in the paper! And I'm like, hold on a minute, aren't you supposed to wait a bit? His skin, his heat, and Brandy saying, wait! With these wild eyes that scared even me, and he's not wrong, I'm saying, about the waiting. You look around and you see there's not an inch of waiting left in anyone around here. Before you, Diver. Before you, what was there? There was nothing. Tell a lie. Before you, there had only been Joseph. Big Joe. Told me I was better looking than all the girls in year 11. Even Lizzie McClune, who tap danced and played the piano to grade 6. Big Joe, the goalie, stopped still on the field as the ball sails past his head. There's wee Kate Regan walking on by. Went to the movies, a gang of us. I spat a Malteser on Big Joe's lap, just because. And Big Joe, he let it melt into his jeans. Saying afterwards, could he see me again? Big Joe scoring his name on the wee Kate's diary, first with a compass, then a biro. From Paris, a school trip, sends me a letter, then another letter, tells me I was better looking than all the French girls he was getting off with. How was the weather back home, and would I promise not to go with anyone else till he got back? And then there's Big Joe just lying there. Sure, get up, would you, Joe? Big lump taking a lie down where they dragged him up from the water. After acting the maggot in some old bridge and taking a header into the Seine. Big Joe lying there. Lazy git. His neck bent wrong. Bent full sideways. Body broken on the water. The Pont Neuf Bridge. The article in the Belfast Telegraph said, 3rd paragraph down. Beloved son, promising student. And then this one last letter. I'm saying it didn't arrive till weeks later. I'm saying the funeral had happened, or at least that's what they told me. Sure, I didn't go. I'm saying he was in the ground, and there's this last letter. He must have sent it the day it happened, or the day before, and it took this long to arrive. And there's Big Joe saying to me, asking me, Kate, why haven't you ripped me back? Have you gone off me, Kate? Daring to ask me that. Say that to me and him. Not even alive anymore. Some boy. I stuffed that letter in my bag and carried it with me everywhere. Daddy was pure raging I didn't go to the funeral. What are Big Joe's big mommy and Big Daddy going to think? A lot of their big boyo's short life, and she can't even be bothered to come say her goodbyes. She hasn't cried, not once. And out every night of the week she is with the scum of the earth. Christ, wee girl, I don't even know who you are anymore. And I felt the breath rush out of me. And when I came back in, you came with it, Diver. Not a heartbeat between Joe and you. But there was more than 20 years between the two of us. I was 16 that first time. Even younger than your latest child bride. Did you know that? I think you did. Sick fuck, you boy, so you were. But sure, that's why I liked you. After Joe. Someone who wanted me breaking. Met you at a party. I shouldn't have been at. Fully pixelated I was. And you marched right up to me, says you'd seen me. Seen me quite a bit. Cutting about with some pal with long legs. Paused, thinking on her name. Shona? Kate and Shona, the Gilna Hurt girls. Kate and Shona who sliced each other's hair in Shona's mommy's kitchen when they were 6 and 7. Kate and Shona who between them knew all the bad words. Kate and Shona, who were just about the worst the girl guys had ever seen. Smoking over by the fence with the lads that still lived at home but wore their hair long. And wrestled with each other, just as Jacob wrestled with a big man and lost, and is still losing, and you said, hold my hand now, Katie. I know you. I know exactly who you are. I've always known you. You and me, we are such simple things. And what took me from the party, left Big Joe bent backwards on the floor and brought me to the bar across the road, and you sat me down and stared at me for ages, waiting for me to come to my senses and bolt. But I didn't. I wouldn't. And eventually I says to you, I says, here, fella. And you said something about having just been at Seamus Costello's funeral, and I said, I have no idea who that is. And then you said, imagine this place blew up, right now, right on top of us. And I looked bored. And you said, no, seriously, let me show you. Getting me just where you wanted me. Guiding me with a light hand on the lower back. The bodyguard's touch. Move a wee bit to your left. A wee bit more. That's it. Take a seat. Now don't move an inch. Say it's under this table here when it goes boom. You sit right there and you'll be fine. Remember when you came in with mud in your shoes and your mommy clipped your ear too hard? Remember how the hallway stretched out before you and your blood felt hot, the hair on your skin all damp? That's the worst you'll feel when it goes off. But you sit there and you'll be fine. And I took a sip of something shocking. Oh, I was always for drinking something shocking back then. And I did a sideways look at you and I says, what about all them? What about them, Katie? What will they be? See that fella there? Now don't look, you'll make him shy. He saw you on the way in, he did. Eyed you up and down, smiled half a hungry lip at you. He's gone. You understand? The roof was coming down and he's gone. What's his name? Come on now, Katie. There's no time to be doing with names anymore. And I gave you that look again, near upside down it was. And you sighed and gave a gesture I came to know so well. A mannered way in which you'd slowly close those eyes of yours and run your lower lip over them wee bumps on your front teeth. Gearing yourself up for some real wild shite. Let's say, for argument's sake, his name is Joe. I remember hearing that. I remember not breathing. I remember thinking, does he know? How could he know? I remember you enjoying the fear in my eyes, even if you didn't understand it. I remember the energy you took from it. Let's say Joe here. He's trying to court a girl that barely notices him. Ah, no, that's too sad for our Joe here. Let's say he gets a wee bit of something chased over by the gents. Now, in his mind, it's them two all the way to oblivion. Not that she's thinking that, because I mean, look at him. Christ, would you look at him? Joe's not the type you risk ending up with. His brain is all spent muscle and smoulder and turf. Not that it matters, because tonight, he's gone, she's gone, all of us, Katie, gone. After the bomb, there can be no more anything. And there's no getting around that, nor should there be. You see, Katie, here's my point. Nothing matters but the breaking. Not the who, not the why, just that we see this fight for the sham that it is. You see it, don't you? You see that there are people, the very same people who watch you walk up the Ormo Road in the winter dark and tell you to be picking one side or the other, and they show you two sides of the same coin, as if people, I'm saying. The very same people that finger their moustaches on slow buses and tell you to fight for them ones or these ones, and then there's me. At a party. Who says his name is Diver and here's your name is Kate, and who tells you there is a solution to all this that no fucker but him has even thought of, and who hears you roll your eyes, who then sits with you here in this bar, in this snug, and tells you there is the bomb, if we can imagine it, a bomb that waits and ticks and waits and ticks, and it does tick, Katie. Don't think that's just for them Roadrunner cartoons. To tick is its first function. Listen. Tells the time. And it'll do that until time comes for each and every one of us. Now, our pal from before. Fuck's sake, Katie, I've forgotten already. You want to say Declan or Cormac or Joe? Aye. Big Joe. Well, Joe's not wholly dissimilar from the bomb in this respect. He was born to a sheep shagging culture, to a long line of sheep shagging cultures, and is with us this day the perfect cocktail of sheep and man. And whichever species of the heart he has inherited, it doesn't matter, because that heart is going to tick and tick, just as any other the great, the Hura Mazda saw fit to wind up for us. The whole time certain. So monumentally certain that as long as it can hear itself tick, how can it ever reach the end? The rational fact of our immortal bodies. But it will end, Katie, because to end is our second function, our most important function, because it clears the way. All these cultists wasting it, planting their flags in each other's skulls. They're planting them flags in dust, ignoring how simple it could be. That you and me and even Big Joe here, we are such simple things. And you reached into my bag and pulled out Joe's envelope. Tear through its body, still weeping, and you scrawled across it in them big cartoon loops and tails, a name and a number, and left me there in the rubble of your words. To feel myself breaking, to feel everybody in the world breaking with me, to feel that truth in common. Wasn't long before I completely fell in with you. Chucked school, got a job in a big hotel. I didn't see Shona again. I heard later she had opened a nail farm in Lisnaskey. The train to the north coast jolts on its tracks. Fields blur into fields. Their soft greens and yellows leaping into the blue and white of the wild sky beyond. Across the aisle at a table seat, I can see there's me and Brandy, sat having breakfast weeks ago. I think, how did I get all the way over there when I'm just here? And I shouldn't listen. It's none of my business. But I am. And there's past Brandy now, smiling through his Weetabix, saying, what'll we call it? While we're waiting. And there's me looking at him like he's after smearing shit in my toast. Do you want to start on with names already? No name. I'm thinking there should be a noun, you know, a noun, like, there's something wrong. So there is saying it all the time, like, it's the size of a pea. The train brushes past a long hedgerow and I feel each branch like fingers down my back. I close my eyes to them, wanting these two to shut up, but I hear me even louder than before. Ah, yeah, I get you. It's making my tits sore. It's the milkman's baby. And Brandy's saying, leave it with me. Something better will come. I'm good at this sort of thing. My gift to you, wife. I've lost sight of the border. It separates me out. With you so far away all this time and me so near to something else maybe. And I'm not even talking about what they're saying on the news every night. I mean, who knows with all that? And Christ, this will sound stupid, it will. But seeing it all the time now, the way they keep pointing at us, I only just realised I've never properly looked at us. On a map, I'm saying. I said this to Brandy, he thought I'd gone loopy. I mean, I'd seen it loads of times, but I'd never really properly looked at the border. How strange it is. That wide line cutting in and out and round and back in itself. Good for one thing, as you'd say, Diver. Keep them cunts on the other side. Them down there. Them that exchanged one empire for the other. We up here, Katie, we break the rocks that'll make Ireland, not them. The force of us, of how alive we are, of what that'll bring. They can neither make head nor tail of it. We are the deluge, Katie, they the floodplain. Is that what you're doing up on the north coast, Diver? Preparing your deluge? Because it's been 20 years and this island is still bone dry. So here's what it was. There's me the other week, going about my day. Got my washing hung, got my shopping in, got Brandy as Easter egg. Only the big Snickers for Brandy now. He's a Snickers man through and through. And it's this feeling, I'm not sure, but it's pain here, where pain, I'm saying, the colour of it running through me, the colour of that night in Pisa, and I am feeling peach, and I know what has happened. And Brandy says, are you sure? And I go to smack him one, but when I turn around again, he's gone. And there's me coming in through the sleet this time, same day though, but like a snowstorm you wouldn't believe for April, blanket in Shaftesbury Square, and I'm there with this huge medical dictionary out of the library as if, and in the night begging, something begging, but I know this pain. And Brandy says, could be anything. Could be fibroids, a third of women, which gives him away, so it does. He's been chatting to some nurse pal, he's needed 5 aside, getting some reassurance just for himself. Will not know until you're seen. Aye. Seen and scanned and pried apart, all to be told what my body has been screaming at me since day dot. When it finally got too much, hiding with you there in that mad wee caravan, like we were in witness protection. Every day, watching watching you watch the sea like you could see the fucking Armada on the horizon. Or like it was the ocean itself. Like if you took your eyes off it for a second, it might mount the shore and swallow you whole. Finally, I said, I'm going home, Diver. Mommy and Daddy, well, Mommy says Daddy's cooled off, or at least they're for putting me up. I'm going to go to the night school, take the O-levels. And we can't keep going on like this. You know we can't. And you said nothing. So I asked, who are you even running from anymore? And you said nothing. So I said, you'll come visit? Nothing. Well, I'll come visit you. And then you said, what? An ice cream on a Sunday and a lazy drive down the promenade? And then you laughed. Crueler than any words you ever laid upon me. What do you want to happen, Diver? What do you want from me? Nothing. Fuck off. And then you said, I want you in winter. I want you slipped on the ice. I want you soaked in the wet and the wind. I want you at the bus shelter at midnight when the last one went through at 9 p.m. Or in the dunes in the long marrow. Or playing pool with some smick in the arcade cooked off his face, throwing raw meat at a sleeping dog. And I said, let's write to each other. And then you laughed again, or didn't. All there is now is the feeling of that cold light in my face. The feeling of it empty. Like the morning was the thinnest blanket laid over the night. Restless in her crib. And then I said, or at least I want to have said, I'm serious, so I am deadly serious. I'm going to write you and you're going to write me back. And then your anger changed colour. It became a small anger. For I do remember the shift. I remember all the shades of your anger. I was their collector. Fucking just. Tell you what, Katie. If you ever see a letter from me, it'll be just like that boy fucking Joe. Whose name you went for in your sleep, you do. Big Joe that left you for the river, what a joke. Time came for that boy long ago, Katie. Anyone ever hands you a letter from me, don't even bother looking at it. It'll be just like Big Joe. There'll be no return address. When I arrive in Port Benoni, after the taxi, train and bus, I book into the B&B. I'm still feeling hungover from my fight with Brandy this morning. Silence of it rings out in every corner of me. I get my head straight and make my way to the address given me by the child bride. As I walk along the seafront, I notice how much has changed in this time. Everything I knew here from 10 years ago has been torn down, replaced. It's all luxury apartments now, cladding, gleaming, yet to be licked dull by the salt air. I look up to the windows and there's not a light in any of them. It's Easter weekend. Feels like no one's around. There's probably nobody but Diver. He's probably chased them all out. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they've stopped all the trains and moved all the people away, so this new peace that's coming in can really stretch out uninterrupted. Turns out Diver's been living in a bed sit at the edge of town. Tried to buzz her a few times, but I get nothing. Then this wee woman shuffles up to me with her shopping and looks at me like I'm about to put a knife there. Despite her best efforts, I slip in the door behind her before it shuts. In unsure English, she asks who I am. I tell her I'm a friend of Diver's. Diver? She nods in a way that tells me she's satisfied. I'm not here to set fire to the place. As I move through the building, all the doors I pass are open. And I see now, these are just single rooms. Just sad little cells. Going up a floor, I poke my head into the shared kitchen. There's an ancient muck coating every surface. A wee box TV shackled high on the wall. News playing. Contrast is turned up so high, the sight of it is even louder than the sound of it. Piercing bright images. Smiling, shaking hands. Christ, the hands must be for coming off these Brits for all the mad shaking they're having to do. Come to the door with the number I was given. I knock. I wait a bit. I knock again. Soon I start thinking, if I get in there, if he's in there and I find him there, I'm not seeing that, I'll not. Not here where the river joins the ocean, I will not. A bang harder, a machine gun tempo, a shout, Diver! Diver, it's Kate. Katie from... What? Diver, it's Katie. You know me. I came for a visit. Well, I was visiting anyway and I thought, Diver, it's Katie. Open the door. Diver! Diver! I hear something down the corridor. The wee neighbour has her door cracked watching me. Take a step towards her, but she quickly retreats. I hear a deadbolt lock into place. I turn back the Diver's door to knock again. But the door is open. The door is open and Diver is there. Standing. Breathing. His face fixed, but his eyes doing their own thing, swiveling. A half-stunned calf with his stink pouring out. Without saying a word, he walks past me towards the kitchen. I follow, getting a good look at the shape of him now. Long and thin as he ever was, but turned old. Fuck, he was always old, but now, even older than I expected. I don't know what I expected. There he is, sagging like some building, buckled under the weight of something I'm not seeing. His walk is slow and strange, as if unpracticed, as if one foot in front of the other is a dance he's only just started to learn. Take a seat next to a low tower of dishes, caked together in their own filth. Diver stands by the kitchen sink for a while, maybe listening to that BBC voice droning out of the telly. That voice flattened under the maximum historicity of this momentous moment for the prostrate people of Northern Ireland. Diver still stood, drenched in the clear white of a fluorescent above. Picks out the sallow contours off his skin. Peach, the heat. It's a while before I realise he's not doing or saying anything. I'm just sat watching his back rise and descend, his small breaths wash in and out of him. I wonder if he's gone to sleep. Stood there in front of me, and I'm about to ask as much when suddenly he announces, "Some drink." Tries again. "Something to drink." "Yeah, thanks, just the water, please, Diver." Half a look at me on that, a moment of recognition maybe, but he says nothing. Instead, he pries the glass from the crud and gives it a slow, aimless wipe with long yellow fingers. "Do you know why I'm here, Diver?" I offer. He hands me the glass, still empty. Looks past me at the window as if suspicious of something out there. I turn to find our reflections in the dark night. We look like we're we're waiting for the flash to go off. A portrait of a woman and her man reunited after a long war. I turn back to Diver, but he keeps his eyes fixed on that darkness. You're the wee girl you've been seeing, Diver, she called me. She's been trying to reach you. You scared her, made her think that you'd done something to yourself. Although his expression hasn't changed, tears are now tracing his cheekbones. I think of his nana, knelt beside him in her green kimono. She'll have passed by now. I wonder when that happened. Diver. He stirs, his eyes fix on me. Suddenly he's close, rearing up. I get to my feet. That's enough to make him back away. Diver. Diver, listen to me. He's mumbling, agitated. He comes at me again. I move past him, out the door, slam it shut behind me. I stand on the other side of the door. My heart, the siren peeling through me. And through that door, the noise he's making. Suddenly a terrible screeching, it hooks in and the heat of his blood in my body again. All our memories breaking across the floor of me. Down the corridor, the wee neighbour is beckoning me to come, so I let go and lunge towards her. She deadbolts us in, points at the lock, says, strong, safe. This wee woman spends the next 20 minutes with her ear pressed to the door. When she finally hears Diver collapse back into his room, she takes me by the hand and bustles me out onto the street. I turn to thank her, but she's already hurried back inside. When I land back at the B&B, check the time. If I left now, I could make the last train to Belfast. But I don't move. I just sit there. And I can still hear that screeching. Diver calling me. I phone the child bride, tell her the good news. She's relieved. Oh, thank fuck for that, Katie. Sure, give him my best. Then I phone Brendy. I tell him I'm having to stay a wee bit longer. I tell him it turns out there's no trains tomorrow, it being Easter Sunday. Sorry about lunch, sorry to your sisters, sorry to the kids. He's saying, never mind all that, Kate. He's saying the scan is Tuesday, Kate. I mumble an apology. He's worried sick. I can't believe you, Kate. Why aren't you here with me? Christ, wee girl, I don't even know who you are anymore. I go to answer, but I feel the pain come again. It twists through me unlike anything I've ever felt before. I slam the phone down. I do not want to give Brandy the satisfaction of hearing that in my voice. I lie on the bed and turn on the telly, wait for the pain to pass. But it doesn't. Instead, it slowly roots in and becomes an ache in every part of me. I try hard to focus on the voices across the room, on their endless celebration of our escape into peace. But my mind begins to cycle in step with the throb of my body, between pain and exhaustion, between Diver and this new future, as it is now, not as it was then. A vision of Ireland pressed flat beneath the rock, desperate to be released. They come and they give us peace. Give it to us as if it was easy. After 100 years telling us every day that we're no good, that it's in our bones. How can we ever be good when we hang around with scumbags like him? Before you, Diver, there was nothing. And in that nothing, there's Joseph. Big Joe. Every night turning up behind my eyes saying, I've been walking so long. Stopping me along the embankment saying, my feet hurt. The waves of the lagoon singing at him to come back in the water, and him saying, the rocks down there, I keep cutting the feet on them. There are cuts on the cuts of my feet. And I look and I see them rocks like shark's teeth coming up and cutting his sweet little feet. I stare at them as they bleed into the water, and him saying, Kate, why do you never write me back? And now here's the water, turning with my memory, knocking a new shape to things past. Here's Daddy, not ever looking me in the eye, saying the stench in your clothes in your room where everything piles up and the window never opens. What is going on with you, wee girl? And fuck me. These great cliffs on the north side of the Ormo Park stand arched above me now. And there's Big Joe, lying in the shallow of his mind, trickling towards the sea, towards him, towards his mouth. Before there were all them guns, and these hills were diamonds, and the bogs held only muck, and the language on our tongues was our own. And if we go way back, there was wee Katie, cutting about with wee Shona, the first woman and the first friend and the worst the girl guides had ever seen. And the poem now, where is it? I can hear it. Tick, 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 tick. I imagine buildings, big brick books. I imagine my body. I imagine this could have been once. This could have been loads of times. The tide tucking me in, a land bleeding moonlight. The only thing that ever used to scare me, everyone said this as a kid, was the idea of things falling down. Everything bigger than me, everything. I imagined the city centre. I imagined the buildings. I thought, what if they got tired and wanted to sleep? And I was always wanting to sleep. I'm sure it was only wee, so I thought, why not? But I couldn't stop the thoughts, the crushing, the not fast, but slow. It would slowly lie down on top of me, and this one night, I think it might have been, but this one night I'm lying in bed and the terror is just huge. The way the house is cracking above me, and I'm looking at the ceiling and it's moving, slowly coming down. But Daddy came when I called him, and he said, that's just the man on the moon, Katie. Daddy, I loved him. The strength of him calming me, saying, the man on the moon is having a party, Katie. He's dancing up there. But that ceiling was so low. Slowly, the tip of my nose, and Daddy with his back full flat against it, pushing as hard as he could. God, I loved him. So much it's all across me still. I loved him, I did. Silly with it even now. His face, bleeding lamplight. But then Diver came and we took me somewhere else, and Daddy couldn't. And yet here's Joseph, our beautiful lamb, so he is, oh, just in pieces. And yet here's wee Katie, and her gang of Gilna-Hurt girls giving the finger on the escalator and eating fistfuls of bird bones and spitting them back over these hills full of diamonds. Slowly, the tip of my nose. It doesn't sound like dancing. That's because far above us, Katie. From a whole nother world. Face, bleeding moonlight, lungs, bleeding water, and then. When I stopped by for my things and told Daddy I'd be staying in the city with Diver, he said Diver and his kind were scum, dragging us back our whole nation. And I should know better, and I was raised better, and I was a stupid bitch. And then he went up to his room to sulk and fold shirts. And Mommy said he wasn't coming back down while I was hanging around. And she was right. He stayed up there 100,000 years and folded them 2 shirts of his so many times and so tightly. He ended up fitting inside one matchbox. So I left. Easter Sunday. I go to where no diver will find me. Sat in the only pub in town that isn't the other pub in town. Eventually he arrives, all cleaned up in that way that he could. Sure, you wouldn't recognise him. Spots me and slinks over. What about ye, Katie Regan? Ah, wait. You got hitched a while back, didn't you? You'll be Mrs. Such and Such by now. No, I kept my last name. That's what I like to hear. No fucker's putting his name over you, sure, it'd only burn up in your atmosphere. Take a drink and say nothing. I think I saw you last night, Katie. In a dream. Well, I certainly saw you, Diver. Is that so? Ah, sure. We must be dreaming the same dreams. And then he looks up at me and says, "Mine's still a rum and coke when you're going up." And after 2 or 3 of them rums, I tell Diver about me and Brandy. I tell him about waiting on my scan. I tell him about the pain. The pain last night, the pain still now. I tell him it doesn't even matter that I'm drinking tonight. I'm sure I'm empty. Diver holds my hand. And after 2 or 3 again, he says, "Oh, them years ago, he wasn't always thinking right, except when he was thinking of me." And after 3 or 3 more, we're out on our arses on the beach, and it's biting, but we're laughing. And I remember how good his laugh could feel in me when he wanted me to feel it was everything. And it does. It is everything. And we're hooting. We are, because he's just claimed to have invented hummus. And I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? He's all, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I made it up completely, that's not what I'm saying. That was the Arabs, wasn't it? And I am laughing so hard, I'm snorting, and he's all still, no, that's not it. That in fact, he was the one that brought hummus to Ireland, so in effect, And then he leans over and kisses me. And I kiss back. And we kiss, like before, and I whisper a sorry to Brandy. And I am sorry. But the sorrow was just this whisper. Because I had to. I'm so straight these days. Normally I've been, even that time I wasn't, I didn't, but for now we kiss, and I kiss, and the night is nipping hard at my bare arms, and of course, Diver tries to make it more. Rolling on and off of me like I'm a lump of dough, getting sand in my socks. I push him off, but he tries to force it, hands heavy. But I go limp. Automatic muscle memory. And he feels that, stops, sits up and looks away. Then after a while he says, "Oh, this in the news, Katie. Have you been watching it?" And I laugh because the way he says it, it's like I might have missed this whole peace thing that's been happening lately. Ach, all they're doing but fix us. Not how I saw it. Not how I saw it at all. Going out with a whimper, with a pain. Then he throws his arms out to the night, looks at them as if he had something written on them, something he was going to say, something that might unlock the truth of this pain in me. But he says nothing. He has nothing. And all I see and feel is his desperation, willing me to see myself in him, to lie with him there in the rubble like I lied with him before, but there are all these years in the way. And I am so much more than I ever was before with all that dive or breath on my Katie neck. There's too much of me now. Too much of me breaking for him to get a proper grip, and I see now there's barely any border between him and that black water in front of us. I see time is coming for him. And he knows I see that. So he turns his face to the void, away from the pain of my gaze. It's only a few hours later I leave Portmanoney and catch the morning train to Belfast. Diver surprises me at the station. His mood has completely changed. He does a wee dance on the spot. The tiled floor stretches out in front of us, and all the wet that's been walked in gleams back up at us like we're Fred and Ginger here to make it sing. I think about the pain I feel, colour running through me, the peach, the heat. As the tannoy announces the train arrive and Diver pulls me close and thanks me, says, "I feel so much better for having seen you, Katie. You're just what I needed. I'm a new man." As the train screeches into the station, I feel Diver screeching behind that kitchen door. He leans in and kisses me again, this time the cheek. I recoil, but he only pulls me closer, says, "I know we could have had one of our own, Katie. Back in the beginning. I like to think if it had happened that way, I could have stopped. Could have been different. Every part of me is frozen and cannot move, his breath against my ear, gasping and wet. Then I remember myself, Katie. And I know it couldn't have been any other way. Because I'm only good for breaking things. That's all I've ever been good for. Someone shouts last call for the train to Belfast. I try to break free, but he only pulls me closer. I know you think you're the same as me, Katie. Every cell of me is alive with revulsion, pushing against him. But I heard it last night when you left me. And whatever that is you've got, I've no word for it. I pull myself free and run for the train. At the barrier, I glance back to find Diver stood waist deep in the wet floor, smiling up at me. As the train shuffles by the sea and turns towards the first fields, I move through the empty carriage to watch the ocean disappear. Out there, bobbing in the waves, I make out a line of boys, marking something, marking. What am I doing? I shouldn't be leaving that now. I should be there. I should be breaking in them waves. But the track turns again, and I must have forgot because suddenly I'm back home on the sofa with the TV on loud. And it's one of them shows they make over there with them types that get to go on TV, drinking white wine and tutting the peasants, and then asleep. And it feels like the first sleep in years. When I wake, it's nearly morning. There's a blanket over me. Brandy, I go to get up, but I feel it. I know there's blood. And I look, and yes, some, not a lot, but it's on the sofa as well. Jesus wept. I'll go to the kitchen to get something to clean it, but I can't find. For fuck's sake, Brandy! He's always moving things, always reorganising, never happy leaving things where they are, how they're meant to be. It does my head in. And I nearly go to wake him to give him a fight, but I don't. I just sit there. And I'm alone. And it's awful. Way back at the beginning. Another one of them stays in your Nana's place on Jerusalem Street. Now this is a funny one. I can't believe I nearly went all this way without it. Do you remember one night? The gunshot. The scream. 2 points unfolding on the map, linked to the fence but further apart than you would have imagined. The gunshot. I woke, then slept again fitful. Then the scream, a woman screaming so much later that it sticks in my mind. Like she had to pull it up from some part of her unknown, low and terrible. Flash of light, and so much later, thunder. At strange distance. Then out onto the streets we came, all wrapped in bed sheets, we stood, offering witness. Sure, there were already some wee lads out kicking the ball. Like the gunshot had spooked the clock so that they rolled back into the night. Gift of another hour before school. Across the road, a door flings open, a weird light floods the street, and with it, your woman, yelling, "Where is my boy? Where is my boy?" Out into the city. A mess she was. Her son all smeared down her jammies. And she's walking. Walking where? Christ, she's nowhere to go with this hour. The mad woman just wailing and stumbling. And the men, they followed. The husbands and sons, knowing they should do something, but not knowing what to be done. So instead, a slow, distant prowl, like hunters out after a wounded beast, limping away from the herd. And what am I doing? I'm across the road at her house, by myself, into the home, now empty. A light in the hallway, a body there, her son. I recognized his hands, small, strong, his sweet little feet. A body younger than mine, but no head on him, that was the thing, and a rifle nearby. Strangeness to see death amongst all this other death. This one laid out neatly for me and only me. No before, no after. No meaning or explanation, not like the movies, much duller. I made sure to turn out the light and savour the meter. And I stood in the dark and I felt, I think, a kind of a peace. And back to my bed and I slept. They are such simple things. Tuesday. Brandy's taking the morning off work to be with me. It's still dark when we get to the hospital. There's a clandestine field that is we wander the campus looking for maternity. The nurse is waiting outside with a coffee clutched to her chest. Sure, aren't we lucky she's opened the shop early for us? And oh Christ, just let this be done. When I'm in and changed and on the bed, I feel for the briefest of moments this hope. I hear a voice, my own voice, but from before. Like ages before, like so far before, it's coming in from the future, and I think I faintly hear, tick, tick. But as she rolls the paddle over my belly, I look at the screen and see only fuzz. She's grimacing, muttering to herself, now that's not what we want. Not what we want at all. I am breaking. I am the river burst its banks and dragging black clumps of earth out to sea. She goes to find a chaperone to do an internal scan. Brandy squeezes my shoulder. Slowly, calmly, I rip his arm from its socket and fling it against the wall. He just adjusts his position and squeezes with the other arm. The wee nurse returns in a fluster. Says we're happy to go ahead without the chaperone, it being Easter break, everyone's holidays all at once, and that Christina off on maternity leave still, and I look at her and I'm sure I am screaming, but somehow she's not hearing me. And Brandy, being now only one-armed and wise to the danger, he says we just need this done. And she nods and is in me now, I'm telling you, with some force with this huge intergalactic dildo looking thing. Ain't of it? A humiliation. And Brandy sees my body jolt and he squeezes for dear life. And I know there is love there, but I can't reach it. And the wee nurse is muttering, nope, not over there. No, no, no. And then she stops. Brandy hasn't seen her yet, but I see her. She's closed her eyes and she's stopped. And then inside me I hear a single, terrible note, bright and clear, and then there we are! Sure, baby was just playing hide and seek on us, weren't you, baby? And I don't know what she means. But she turns the screen towards me and she shows me this flutter. And she says, that's a heartbeat. That's a strong heartbeat. Well done, baby. And I say, no, you daft bitch. That's a whole nother world. And I look at Brandy and I squeeze him back. And he's crying. And we're crying. And this nurse is checking her watch. Tick, tick, tick. Back home, and Brandy just does not know what to do with herself. First he tidies the kitchen, and he tidies the spare room. Sure, why not? Let's just do the kitchen again. I sit on the bed and I feel the sun through the windows, the tree just outside. The light pushes through the branches and nestles in streaks and shadows across my belly, and there inside me something else. And it is something else, lads. I'm trying to name it, but before I can, Brandy trots in and quick kisses the crown of my head, puts a letter beside me, says it was under my coat, must have fallen out when I was hanging it up. And then he's off once more again to descale the kettle. I pick up this letter and squint at it. In the hall, the phone starts ringing. Brandy shouts, he'll get it. No, wait. And this letter, it's small. Feels like nothing in my hand. And you know what's weird? Because I can't figure out how to get into it. Can't. It's hilarious, actually. And the phone still ringing, and Brandy shouts again. And I'm turning this envelope over, and I start to see this writing on one side. These cartoon loops and tails around. Hurried scrawl. I hear a distant click as Brandy picks up the phone to Peach. No, the wet yellow. And Brandy saying hello, but his voice is in another time entirely now. I'm moving. I'm swimming along the tracks. The water on one side of me, this empty space on the other. I'm in the station yesterday, a hand in my coat pocket, the force of this letter, the force of you pushing. I hear brandy in that distant land. Sounds so serious, sad. I look across the room and see a void. And through that void, our first night, there in the snug, as the ceiling comes down on us, and your hand right there on my lower back, you called it the bodyguard's touch. And you said, you will see that we are all just sculptors, Katie. We are breaking all the time. Breaking the rocks to reveal what's underneath, to carve out some kind of paradise. No. It was never that with you. It was just destruction, no end in sight. And your name scrawled across a letter from a dead boy, and I see in my hand it's the same letter. It always has been. So in this room, on this bed, where I hold my daughter in one fist, I take your envelope in the other, and I squeeze, and when I open my palm, nothing of you remains. Nothing of your words, that heat, that emptiness. I have no use for it now. And I see now, I see before, truly I do. I see Shona, I see Joe, I see you, Daddy. Because before anyone, it was you. You were always telling me I let you down, that I was meant to be better than this. And when you were about to pass, lying with your lungs filled with water, in the same hospital where my daughter will be born, you looked at me and you said you loved me. But it's only now I know how both things can be true. Because you let me down more than anyone, and I loved you more than anyone. Before all this, we had that love in common. We are all such simple things. But what I've got in me now, what I've got coming next, sure, when she goes, it won't matter where any of us were sitting. It won't matter that any of us still dream and wake and cry out in the night. It won't matter that the river is still calling me. Even now with peace creeping over these hills and my body still breaking, because it has to be breaking for her to be freed. I know that now. And even just the thought of her has already broken this world in a way we couldn't. Carved it into something in a way we could never conceive. Untouched by before. Oh, before, Christ, before. Carving it in me even now, I can feel it. Carving something good. That is good. Finally. Good.